This is section 6.1, and we are going to be talking algebra. Chapter 6 is an algebra chapter, so new topic, new chapter, new topic. Some definitions. Algebra uses letters. These are called variables. Examples x and y to represent numbers. An algebraic expression is a combination of variables and numbers using the operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, as well as powers or roots. Notice I did not say an equation. I'm not talking equation, I'm just talking about expression. There is no equal sign. Examples, x plus 6, x squared minus 6, 6x, square root of x plus 7. These are all algebraic expressions. Now if I said x plus 6 equals 9, that would then become an equation. Order of operations. Perform operations within the innermost parentheses and work outward. If you have a fraction, treat the numerator and the denominator as if they were enclosed in parentheses. In other words, if I have x plus 7 plus 9 over x minus 8 minus 2, you can pretend that the numerator has parentheses around it and the denominator has parentheses around it. So after you do parentheses, then you do exponents. Multiplication and division, left to right. Addition and subtraction, left to right. If I'm asking you to evaluate, that means take the x value and plug it in and see what you get. So 7 plus, notice I didn't say solve. Solve means something different. So you're going to place your x value as 6. Anytime you evaluate or you plug a number in, make sure you plug it in using parentheses. All right, 7 plus 5. Guys, that is not 12. Do not add the 7 and 5. Do not add the 7 and the 5. Do not add the 7 and the 5. Now I have 6 minus 4 inside the parentheses. 6 minus 4 is 2. You still do not add the 7 and the 5. Addition comes last for order of operations. We do have an exponent that comes first or next. 2 to the third power is not 6. It means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. You do multiplication before you do addition. Do not add the 7 and the 5. Add the 7 and the 40. An equation is formed when an equal sign is placed between two expressions. A formula is an equation that uses letters to represent a relationship between two or more variables. In other words, a formula is real world. Okay, if I have an equation that people actually use, like d equals rt, distance equals rate times time, then we call it a formula. Mathematical modeling is the process of finding formulas to describe real-world phenomena. In 2003, 28.5 million U.S. adults browsed internet personals, and 17.4 million posted online personal ads, as represented in this bar graph. Here are 3 mathematical models. Always pay attention when it says D represents or X represents. You need to know what those are. D represents the amount of money in millions, and X represents the years after 2002. Be careful when it says the years after 2002. For example, what would X equal if I want to talk about 2003? What is X in 2003? X is not 2003 because X is the number of years after 2002. Well, how many years has it been to go from 2002 to 2003? It's only been 1 year. That means x is equal to 1. What would x equal in 2004? It's been 2 years. X would equal 2. What would x be in 2010? It's been 8 years. X would equal 8. Be very careful to read the problem to make sure you understand what x represents. Which model best describes the data for 2004? Well, in 2004, you need to know what x is. How many years has it been since 2002? It's been 2 years. So what you're going to do, you're going to plug in 2 to see if this equation fits the information here. Okay? Guys, I'm not asking you to read a bar graph. That's not the question. The question says, which of these equations fits the bar graph? Okay? So when you do this problem in your homework, don't give me an answer of 473. The question is, which of these fits 473 million? So you plug in 2 here. Do you get 473 million? You plug in 2 here. Do you get 473 million? You plug in 2 here. Do you get 473 million? Which one comes the closest to 473? You plug in 2 to Model 1, and you get 531, which is not anywhere close to 473. You plug into Model 2, you get 493, which is closer, but still not very close. You plug into Model 3, and you get 472, which is close. It's the best model. It's the closest to 473. So the answer, Model 3, gives the best fit for the actual data. Notice we did not get 473. That's okay. We want to know which one comes the closest. More vocabulary. A term. They're separated by addition or subtraction. So if you have 7x minus 9y minus 3, 7x is a term, negative 9y is a term, negative 3 is a term. Coefficients. That's the numerical part of the term. In other words, that's what you're multiplying by. So if I look at this term right here, 7x, the coefficient is the 7. It's the number in front. If I look at this term right here, the coefficient is negative 9. Constant does not have a variable. It's the number by itself, negative 3. Like terms have the same variable, the same exponent. So if I had 7x and 3x, those are like terms. On the other hand, if I had 7x squared and 3x, those are not like terms because they do not have the same variable. They don't have the same exponent. Factors, the parts of each term that are multiplied. When you multiply two things together, we call them factors. Commutative property. Commutative property, they switch places. You know, your morning commute, you go to school and then you go back home, they switch places. Commutative property. Commutative property multiplication does the same thing. They switch places. A times B becomes B times A. Associative property, that's with the parentheses. Associative property says I can either do the A plus B first or the B plus C first and get the same answer. Works with multiplication as well. Distributive property, this is the biggie. This is the one you really need to know. Distributive property, you multiply the one that's outside times the two terms that are inside. You got to multiply both. Don't forget to multiply that second term. That's important. So let's suppose you have 5 times the quantity 3x minus 7, subtract 6x. How would you do it? Well, the first thing you need to do is get rid of the parentheses by distributing. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times this is negative 7. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. Now you look for like terms. Do we have anything that we can combine? Notice I have 15x here and I have a negative 6x here. If I add those together, I get 9x minus 35. Notice you cannot get x equals. You cannot do it. Why not? Because this is an expression. It is not an equation. I did not start with an equal sign. I do not put an equal sign in. My answer is going to be an expression 9x minus 35. And work on your homework.